Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. Today, I am so happy to welcome Keith Hagar. He is a founder of the Holistic Brotherhood. It was sparked from his own journey and his own path with challenges and his growth and his healing. And he helps men find their true authentic selves and really harmonize their mind, body, and spirit. So, welcome, Keith. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. And so as a man and I'm a woman, so clearly as you can tell, I know with the work that you do, I am so curious of your perspective of kind of men and mental health. I know you're from the UK, but very similar I guess perspectives on mental health from men. And in my opinion, in the US, I know the statistic is four out of, four, what is it? It's 4 to 1. So men are committing suicide, unfortunately, four times more than women. So I would just love your perspective as a man, in this society of what, because I feel like the men need a little help right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the statistics are very pretty much the same in the way of in America. I think they say for like I think it's 1 in 4. So for every 4 women, there may be like one guy, and this roughly statistics what I remember from last looking at it, but it's probably gone up since. Um, Men just don't have the support. We're not
Hmm.
taught to really talk. We're just taught to like suck it up, get on, and like forget about it. There's no such thing as like slow down, like check out what's happening. I mean, even if you do show emotion and you're in around the wrong people in the wrong place, people are going to ridicule you for it. Class you as weak, start like, put like taking the mick out of you. And I mean, this comes from any age, you know?
Hmm.
And even if you did break down, like people just like, oh, they don't want to deal with it. Like, oh, he's having a breakdown, he's crazy. I'm like, maybe they're not crazy. Maybe they're actually uh there's something what's happened what's like really got to them and it's overloaded them, and this could happen to anyone, like male or female. um
Yeah.
but I feel like women are taught a bit more compassion, um whereas we're taught really kind of just to suck it up. You're strong, get on with it, like is like move on, forget about it, like. And as I think like even even if you have your friend circles around you, they're taught similar. So if there
Hmm.
is something within the circle, they don't really know how to comprehend it anyway. Um, so it's more like, come on, man, they're there in their best sense, in their love they can, but it's usually not the right way. It's like, come on, man, that's you're fine, just get over it, let's have a drink, or come out, forget about it, let's move on, You'll find like if you lose like someone, like say you split up with your partner, you'll find someone else. It's like it's just kind of brushing over the dirt over the top of it, and then just clear the hole, like just to make sure the hole's not there, and you carry on, kind of thing. So like, and it said there's not, I mean, it's getting better now, but there's not been a lot of support over the years. I mean, even from my own journey, there hasn't been much support for myself. There's been, yeah, very little. I mean, there's been certain people in my life have literally just come into my life and helped me with my journey, but generally from a young age, I haven't had any support. So this is over the years of like my like horrendous journey, but also where it's brought me. It's taught me a lot, and this is why I kind of moved into working with men because I realized over the years and speaking with a lot of people through all my travels and everything that I thought I was just like maybe it was just me that was like completely
Yeah.
lost, or maybe it was me who was broken, or maybe it was just me I was feeling this. And then when I have chats with people I'd met all over the world from traveling, they'd sit there and because they're a bit more open when they travel, and we're having a conversation with some randomer and we're
Hmm.
talking about the same things. I'm like, man, I'm thinking in my head, you feel lonely as well? Or you feel lost? You
Hmm.
feel like this? You feel that? You haven't had this? I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
alone. Yeah.
yeah, and maybe I'm not the only one feeling this. It's just no one knows how to talk about this. And actually, I had someone reach out to me, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm struggling, and like, but I'm scared. I'm scared to be
Hmm.
judged. If I say like
Hmm.
I'm feeling X, Y, Z, that someone's going to judge me. Of course, the judgment level from man to man can be really ridiculed, and even women can judge men as well.
Of
I
course.
mean, it's not just women, it's not just men. It seems like we're at a point in the world where everyone judges everyone, even if you wear different socks.
True,
So,
very true. Yeah.
so let alone if you have something like seriously, you feel like you're breaking inside, and you turn around and like people think you're crazy, or you start acting in weird ways. It's like maybe it's not weird if you actually understand why the actions from this person or why they're doing it is probably you can see it as you start being through things. You can see like, okay, this person's probably doing that, maybe because of X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
Of course, you won't know till you speak to them, but you kind of
Yeah.
understand uh, where it's been. So yeah, the men are at the point of like on the edge, and it's still I think in some societies it is still like men don't really matter.
Mm.
Um, and like it's I mean in the Western world it's getting there, it's changing a bit, but I mean we also have the other parts of the world where you have like the Asian parts of the world, you also have the Arabic parts of the world, and these things are completely different there. Um,
Hmm.
so in some way, shape, or form, like most of the people I've spoke to all over the world, they still say the same thing. They feel disconnected, they feel lost, they feel broken, they're scared to feel judged, they're scared to cry, they're scared to talk. Um, Most of the time also because they don't know what's going to come up.
Yeah. And I think you great made a great point earlier, and I want to like just expand upon it that in I feel like in society, men are kind of taught like feeling and processing their emotions and expressing their emotions as a sign of weakness.
Yeah, and I mean if you get like and of course there's the big one where men get judged from this heavily is men being angry.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
You know, and like, oh, that the person's got an anger issue. Okay, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's something underneath why he's angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like let's dig a little deeper before making that
yeah,
judgment. Yeah, for
yeah, of
sure.
course. And it's just like, oh, if that person like, I mean, of course, like if you think about everything, why we react and everything, at the end of the center of everything is our central nervous system. So if
Yeah.
we're reacting in anger, if we're reacting scared, if we're acting like we're crying all the time, or vice versa, it's all linked to the nervous system. So
Yeah. Yep.
if someone's always like on edge and stuff, I mean, maybe it's something that's happened in their life, maybe it's something that's going on in their life, or and I think in this point of the where we are in the world now, it's just everything's seen as bad for a man. If you're angry, you're bad. If you don't
Mm,
talk, you're bad. If you say something this or put your boundaries up, you're toxic or you're a toxic masculinity. And I'm like,
yes.
oh, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what is healthy now? I mean, if you put apparently if now that everyone's trying to say it's like if you stand your boundaries, you speak your truth, and then people saying you're toxic.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what the
You're like
hell?
you can't win either
Yeah.
way, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, no. Or
Yeah.
you're labeled a certain way, and I'm like, or you end up like just because maybe you have this or that, and then you're all of a sudden you're a narcissist. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I'm,
right.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like, I mean, everyone seems to be a narcissist now. Everyone, man, seems to be toxic. Everyone seems to be this. Everyone seems to be that. No wonder why we're in a world now where social media says you're all this. They're even more closed.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So thank you so much, because I've talked to many people, and I do think social media has a play in this, and I'm glad you brought that up too. But I'm so glad you brought up like narcissism and all these labels that were, I feel like that I will tell everybody as a mental health professional in training and a coach, I am very cautious to give somebody a label because that can be very detrimental to their also too I feel like labeling comes from a place of judgment, and I'm not a really judgmental person, but I'm so happy you brought up narcissism because I agree with you wholeheartedly that like in the last couple of years, like everybody's there's like I'm like every like because I think now I think the point I'm trying to make there is I think that we now have more resources and more education around it, but just
Mm.
because we have more resources and education around it doesn't mean that everybody is a narcissist. Like they might have narcissistic tendencies, But I'm sure you know, and I mean I know from being a therapist in training, narcissist personality disorder is in the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Manual for Mental Health Disorders. And you have like I mean that you have to be go and be diagnosed by a mental health professional to be a narcissist. Like it's not, like, and I feel like you're right. Like people are just throwing this label around without like any, just from their personal experience with them, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. And I mean, at the end of the day, they say that every single person in the world has some form of narcissistic tendencies anyway,
Correct.
to a point. Um, and like you can argue that some of the tendencies of narcissism, like, is it all bad? Because some of them are hyper, like you can't say like as in a true narcissist, you can't really. They have to be labeled, diagnosed, probably locked up in a not in a center, and probably is there people running around probably narcissistic? Yeah, of course, but is that
Yeah.
because they were maybe because of their trauma that act in a certain way doesn't make them narcissistic. It makes them that maybe they're trauma bonded, or maybe
Hmm.
they're
Yep.
actually really scarred from whatever they grew up with because they're really traumatized and they don't understand why they're acting the way they're acting, which is self-awareness. Um, so I mean, there's many ways you can look at it, and there's as you again from my own journey and like my own self-awareness, like of course there's ways where I've acted like an ass in that when I was younger, and that
Yeah.
was because I was because I was blocking things. So, and the way I was taught and the way I didn't have healthy people around me, and
Hmm.
uh and sitting back and like, oh yeah, actually I had real toxic masculinity around me. Who was drunk and racist and like, hitting. This is toxic masculinity. Like putting your boundaries up and stating how you feel and that maybe how you don't want them to step your boundaries is true to you. And if like now, this isn't unhealthy, this is healthy to express your
Hmm.
emotions, to express like how you feel. And of course, you're not going to rage the way, but state it clear and calmly. This is, again, through my own therapy, this is what my therapist tells me. Of course, if
Yeah.
I go rage and smash and crash, yes, I'm going into something what's a bit messed up there. But if you're calm and state it, that's not toxic. That's actually healthy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And as you said, agree with you wholeheartedly that we all have tendencies, and also that, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and I think it shows the work that you've done on yourself that anytime anybody is acting in a certain way, whether, I would maybe say maybe a negative
Mm.
reaction, I go back to like what trigger is that? Like what, like what uh when people label people as narcissists, like I know from what I know about that, that personality type, those people, they everybody makes this assumption that they're, because they're narcissistic, that they are like love themselves. Those people actually are dealing with, it's a shame-based disease, and I look at that as you're dealing with some sort of, as you said, trauma. And that's what, unfortunately, like your body and your nervous system and your parts have not healed that yet.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, everything the way, I mean, if you look at anger, for instance, within in men, I mean, this is I mean, in one way, not always, but in some way, not being able to express. So it
Hmm.
gets to the point where the volcanoes, like, I can't say, or they get shut down, or they get put back to their place, is what happens generally with men. And then you get to a point, and boom, and
Yeah,
then
and then you just you explode.
yeah, and then everything comes out, even the kitchen sink. So,
Well,
so I
yeah,
mean,
I'll be honest with you. I have, as a woman, we're not even talking about men, as a human being, like I've been there, and that I would call it like snowball effect of like
of
you
course.
suppress, you suppress an emotion, and then it turns, depending on if it's against a person or whatever, it turns into resentment, and like,
Hmm.
or and then you something happens and you just flip out because it's like you've been suppressing that emotion for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, and then obviously the men, that's when with men it comes into addiction, drink,
Mm,
drugs, porn,
yeah, yeah.
gambling.
Numb it. You're trying to numb something.
Yeah. So this is when like considering like most of the time men don't know how to speak, it comes into some form of addiction, and
Mm.
And like I said, when I've had people speak, I've gone through with clients and they talk about their addiction. I'm like, yeah, okay, I hear you have the addiction. And I've been in some, I have a bit of addictive personality as well. So I'm like, okay, let's have a look
Yeah.
what's underneath. What
Yeah, what's
triggers, yeah,
yeah.
what is that trigger that something's going on that you feel like you have to go over to do whatever that is to kind of block whatever's coming up and to numb
Mm.
yourself. So maybe if you look at that when I work on it, maybe I try and look at what's underneath that addiction.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the same with a lot of the same with drugs. I mean, I've come from doing a lot of drinking drugs myself and blocking everything out. And again, for
Hmm.
me, it's just I didn't want to feel the pain. I wanted to
Yeah.
numb everything. So, and it took me years to realize that. I mean, I think I probably only realized it in my early 30s. Like, okay, I was like, man, I was actually in that much
Wow.
pain when I was younger that I was blocking it out. So, like, it's just a numbing effect. And some are obviously really unhealthy and some are like unhealthy, and you have that spectrum. But most of the time, it's with men, it's self-destructive of their self. Um, because they don't and they don't want to harm anyone. They end up just harming themselves because they don't know how to talk, they don't know how to deal with it, they don't know how to process it. They don't even know what to feel to be
Mm.
out, well, what is even coming up because we haven't been learned, especially in school.
Oh
Well,
yeah, no.
when I
We're
was
not,
younger,
yeah, we're not
like
learned.
what it means to be like I feel like this and this
Hmm.
feeling is that. Like, I mean, it's so simple, yet it's nothing. I mean, it's not comprehended. I mean,
Correct.
they'd
Yeah.
rather teach us about history than teach us about how we feel ourselves.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's so funny actually. And I actually heard somebody who was on my podcast a couple weeks ago. We recorded a couple weeks ago. She has young children. This is in the U.S. and I loved hearing this. That she said her kid came home from school with a feelings wheel. You know that feelings wheel that
Ah,
you know. And I was like, that's amazing. I was like, I love that. Like, I don't know what she didn't say like what class, but she was like, I was like, I think that is such a step forward, which I'm not sure. Of course, I don't think they're dedicating a class on emotional regulation and emotional wellness,
mm-mm.
but I just love that the younger generations are learning about their feelings earlier on in life.
Yeah.
Because
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, I'm 37, so I was definitely not taught how to regulate my emotions and process my emotions, or even what a feeling was in school. Like that came in from the home and my personal
mm-mm.
my personal I guess leadership and parenting and my family.
Yeah, and I mean, when I show some of that, like, I mean, I use the feeling wheel a lot with my clients, and
Hmm.
because some of them, like, if they're completely dysregulated and completely
Mm.
like out of their body, it's hard for them when you put them back in through doing some different ways of breath work and movement. When they come back in, they don't fully know how to comprehend
Mm.
what they're feeling. So, I mean, other than having them draw and have them kind of try and explain the drawing to me. Um, but I send them the feelings wheel and kind of explain how
Hmm.
it works and to try and sit down and kind of use it and to like elaborate a bit more. And I mean, it sounds simple and people may even think it sounds silly, but it's like if you never understand that certain like anger and frustration come in the same line, how are you I'm frustrated? But they may think frustrated is something else, but it's in the anger line. But people don't
Uh-huh.
understand that. Um, so, I mean, it's learning these things and learning that anger may be linked to sadness
Hmm.
underneath it. And it's like these two work together, this can work together. And then of course it's all like fluid. You can't say
Yes, yes.
can't say it's exactly this and that, but emotions are fluid, but there is some crossovers. But it's like I think this is where, especially with men, they haven't been educated enough.
Mm.
Um within and I'll go on a wing and say it's not just men, it's we have female as well. But
Oh, I think
um,
I believe it's both. It's just people.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, people.
yeah. Exactly, and but as I said, I feel with the with women, they've always got a closer knit of like women friends. You sit
Hmm.
down and talk a bit more quite deeply, whereas guys, it's just like there's not much talking that way. It's kind of
Mm.
like it's shallow, and then it's like, come on, let's just get on with it. We don't want to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's actually funny you mentioned that. I forget what I was reading. a couple, like, it was like this was months ago, but to your point, it was basically saying that like women are like, I think maybe it was on just an Instagram post or something, but it was
Mm,
like when you're a woman and you create communities and friends, like my women friends, like they'll plan my birthday party, they'll pick me up from the airport, or they'll just go out and we'll just, we're very like connected in
mm,
that way, where men are very like they don't have, I wouldn't say they don't have deep connections and friendships, but they're just buddies and they just go out and watch the game. Like they don't have
yeah.
the friendships that men and women cultivate are very different. And I think
Mm,
it
mm,
comes down to that level of emotional intelligence and what we're talking about, like that emotional processing. Because women, we just know this in general, but like women are just naturally more emotional. Our brains are different.
mm,
You know.
mm.
But
Yeah,
then there's, nothing wrong or right about it. It's just the way our gender constructs are kind of, have evolved in society.
yeah, I mean that's a great point you made. I mean, like usually if the guys hang out, it's like
Hmm.
let's say they stay in it. It might be playing Mario Kart and having like
Yeah,
stuff like
playing
that.
video games. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah.
if you go out, I mean, of course it bonds because it's loads of fun, but it's like it's a different kind of thing. And then you go, and then they maybe like I said, they go out to games or they go out and do something, maybe mountain biking, but it's like.
Hmm.
It's not really like sitting down, having some wine, chilling, and like it's
Yeah,
usually
like,
go out and do something together and have like fun. Like usually, yeah, and I go on a wing stage. Usually, like when guys go out, they go out and they have a few drinks. They go and act like they're younger again and just mess around and like have fun as guys do. And again, it's good that we have that connection to do that, but underneath it all, there's like not that deeper connection where one turns around and is like, oh, I've just, if they split up with their wife or something and go for a divorce, there's not that real support of, I mean, they take you out, may take you out to the game, they may take play, like go out, but it's like go out. Let's just kind
yeah,
of
it's
go out and forget it. We'll support you through it, but we want you to forget it. Get on with it. Come on, man. You're good. You're strong. Like, you don't need to worry about that. We know it's tough, but let's go out and do something so you forget all about it. Um, it's more that kind of especially when I grew up, it's more that they support in the way they can support, but they don't really know any other way to support because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. We don't know how to express, we don't know how to fully connect, we don't know how to, and even if someone does listen to you, they're not, it's kind of going over their head because they don't know how to take it and maybe express it back to you in a way that you can acknowledge and feel seen and heard. And I think this is a lot what a lot of men struggle with is that most of the time they're not heard.
Mm.
No one's really sat down with them and actually fully listened to them and then talk it back to them. Unless they're, like I said, they're in therapy or something, and then you
Hmm.
come out of therapy like, oh man, actually this person actually understands me. But
Hmm.
on a normal with most of your friends, I'm not saying everyone, but most of them won't be able to comprehend that and to say it back. And even if they have comprehended, they're more, again, from my experience, it's more like, come on, man, I know it's tough, I've been there, but come on, we can go out. This
Yeah,
is
we
what
like
I,
let's
this is
just, as you said, let's go out or let's do
yeah.
something. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is what I done. Come on, man. Like blah 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 blah. We do. So it's like they're there in the way they can be there, but again, there's just not enough education, and there's just not enough understanding. And I think this is why guys get completely dysregulated, and then especially when they go into work, because we have societal pressures to work, provide, to be
Hmm.
something, to be this big, make all the
Hmm.
money, do this, and
Yep.
so you go out and you're like work, 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 and you're burning out. You're just pushing, like grinding, chasing the money because apparently that's what men are supposed to do. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then it just all implodes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I do a lot of reading on like, masculine energy, feminine energy. And as well too, as a woman, and as a therapist and a coach, like I want to work with men. I think that I think men are kind of in crisis right now. Because, and this is just my perspective, and this is a
Mm,
Western US perspective, but
mm,
um women have been on this, and the statistics show it, and women have been on this like kind of like the I guess the feminism movement, and also we have like kind of been empowered recently. I feel like the last, 10 to 20 years to like just go out there and you can do it and all these things. And I
Mm,
think the gender roles in the US, at least, or in Western culture, are shifting to like,
mm,
and not to like to removing that pressure from the man actually and being like,
mm,
like it's okay. Like it's now both genders can, do it all. Like, but you
mm,
are
mm,
correct. And I think there is still that like, I'll just call it like an old school mentality of like,
mm,
the man makes the money and
mm,
brings home the bacon, and he can't like, and even nowadays, like I will tell you, a lot of my friends that are married, the gender, like there's really I'm actually, I think it's amazing. There's really no gender constructs. Like the man might cook more than the woman, or the man
mm,
might like, clean more, and it's like I think that's great, but I think from a societal lens it's difficult navigating those changes because
mm,
that's
mm.
what it is. It's a transition. It's changing the way that like we're viewing the gender roles in systems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally understand, and it's like it's also going. It can also go into like one way of where certain like egos as well. Like,
Mm,
no, I need to be like this because that's what I'm here for. I need to provide for you because
hmm
that's how my dad done it. Rah rah rah.
hmm
Um, and I think also, I mean, you can talk. I mean, you can talk about what they say, transgenerational trauma or sins of the forefather, which is basically
hmm
from your parents, and your parents, they kind of dump their stuff on you without fully comprehending it. And so you're following some of their patterns without even realizing that you're your own person because it's ingrained from such a young age. It's only when you start doing a bit of work on yourself, I'm like, oh man, like this is actually like my mum's or my dad's stuff. And actually,
Yeah.
I don't really think about this because I don't actually like this. I've realized I've been X, Y, Z. And I'm like, damn, and I think this is another thing which is very, very uh, common, especially if people aren't so aware and especially coming uh, like there is an awareness happening, the shift is happening, but I mean it's especially with men, it's not it's taking its time, definitely. And I think a lot of people when we start looking into that with some of my clients, they're like they don't really understand like oh maybe this is coming from your parents and it's actually
Mm,
something you learned from which is their own stuff which is being imprinted into you. And as you're younger, you've kind of carried that on subconsciously, as in being a normality. And
mm,
once you comprehend that, I'm like, even with some of my own stuff, I'm like, man, I see myself. That's my mum's stuff. I'm like, that's my dad's
Coming
stuff.
up. Yep. Oh, I
Yeah,
love
yeah. And
it.
I'm like,
Keith, this conversation has been so enriching because we've gone to so many like areas that I love, but generational trauma is real,
mm,
100%. And I've actually, being a family therapist in training, have there, and this is a very early on family therapist. It's called like Bowen. He is a family therapist. He Bowenian theory is his theory that we
mm,
study. And he actually, back in like the 50s, there is data and research and evidence-based, facts in family systems that even how you react to things emotionally can be traced back
mm,
to through generation. It's amazing. Like he did a lot of studies on anxiety and how that transfers through
mm, mm.
generation. And I love that you brought that up because there's a wonderful book, I'm sure you know it. It's called It Didn't Start With You. It's about generational trauma. And like
Mm.
sometimes the stuff we are carrying, unfortunately, is not ours.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, and then of course this is
know?
some of the things like some of the men are reacting, they're like, oh, like, and they're like, you're just like your father. Oh, but wonder
hmm
why? Because I learned it maybe from him, and I haven't done maybe enough work to fully comprehend that maybe it's not mine, and I'm
Yes.
just following a trait, which is people now telling me that I'm this is me. But actually, when you start digging a little bit and clearing some of the rubbish from yourself, you're like, whoa. Actually, no, this isn't me. My dad used to act this way, or my mum acted this way, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and even from my own journey, like looking at my own family dynamics, for instance, I can see the pattern, my mum's pattern, and then my brother's pattern are nearly identical.
Hmm.
In certain aspects. I'm like, oh man, my brother acts like my mum, but my brother is angry at my mum because of the way she acts towards him, and then he does the same thing to me. So you see the
Yeah.
triangle, and you're like, I'm like, dude, like, but again,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
blocking it. And if I look at it from a coaching standpoint, just at my brother and my family aspect, I'm like, he does have issues because of the way we grew up. We didn't grow up easy, either of us. But I mean, I can see it, and he does it like again. If I look at him, he's like workaholic. Just he's being a father, and he's working, 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 and he's working hard. He's doing this non-stop, non-stop, and this again, as if you look at it from a men's standpoint, you're blocking it. Like
Hmm.
you're going, you're working. Yes, you're providing for a family. Yes, great. You're looking after your family. You're doing this. Is this a society thing saying you should do that? Like you blocking out everything, not thinking about this and work, 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 and just having your family unit, which is amazing, but you need a bit more than the family unit because as I've been speaking to some of my friends, and obviously as I've been growing and putting my story out there, they've been coming to me because obviously when you expose the story, they come back and like,
Hmm.
yeah, I've got everything, but there's something missing. I'm like, I understand that's something missing because like you're in that you've just maybe just gone what society tells you, get the job, have a good job, make the money, keep going through, keep working, have the house, have the family, great. I mean, if you're happy, great, but they're semi-happy, but underneath it, there's like something what there's missing. And I'm like, I understand
Mm.
what I'm missing, and you're missing the link of your purpose, you're missing connection, and
Yep.
there's a trauma underneath what maybe it's slowly coming up now because you're in your early 30s. Usually when guys start kind of cracking a bit is around about the early 30s, maybe late 35 is when it really kind of goes with men.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. It was. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a woman, so for
yeah,
me, it was probably maybe around the same time. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying like some people aren't more aware. I'm just talking my generation. Maybe it's a little younger now, because there's more
Hmm.
education. But I've noticed from my own journey, like, and because realistically, us guys don't really grow up till after 25 anyway. Like, we're too busy in the like the phase of partying, and I mean, it's well known that guys really don't fully comprehend like being an adult till about 28, maybe something a little earlier. Again, things might have changed a bit since my era. And I'm making myself sound like really old now. I'm only 38, but
No, no, but no, but I will say too. I say that too. I'm like I'm old. I'm 37, and but like when you've gone through things like, from what you shared, when you've gone through life, like you're probably like your emotional age is probably a lot um older than
yeah,
your physical age. You know.
yeah. So I mean, it's usually then I think like, and it's I've noticed is when people start questioning, especially if they have the space to question. But I think also in life now, especially with men, everything's getting tighter. Everything's getting more expensive. Everything's getting a little more this, a little more that. And so, like, I feel that the societal pressure of like you need to provide is getting tighter and tighter, and there isn't as much space now um, for men to even breathe because now everything's it's probably maybe similar in the US. Like the bills are getting more, this is getting more. You need to earn more, like you need to provide. So that societal thing of what a man should do is getting imprinted even harder without them even realizing. Um, and so there isn't enough time to maybe seek now. And there's so much information online and so much this and so much that that people are just lost now. And I'm not just saying just men as well. I think it's the women as well. There's so much out there. It's just like they're frozen by so much information, and so no one does anything.
Yeah. No. Like I feel I wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't. And there's so much to unpack with people I've found and the clients that
Mm.
I work with. I work with both men and women. And to your point earlier in our conversation, before I do anything, because people come to me because I say I coach my clients. I am not work doing therapy with my clients, but of course, because of my training and what I'm in the midst of now, I always say you can't go forward without doing some looking inward in some way. Like I need to
Mm,
understand you, and you mentioned patterns. Like I need to understand if there's a pattern showing up in your life, and we have that's what I try to help my clients do is like fix a pattern so then they won't
mm,
repeat it in the future
mm,
and they can go on and living fulfilling lives.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so, but I love that you brought that up. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I just lost my train. You know when you just that happens. I was had a very poignant thought that you were
Yeah,
just
I'm
talking
sure.
about. Oh, that we're not lost. I do think you need to do some self-reflection.
Mm,
And also to your previous point earlier in our conversation, you also need to do some regulation because you
mm.
cannot grow heal effectively. You can heal from dysregulation, but you to really start your healing journey, you have to be in a regulated state.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And sometimes within this, well, I wouldn't say sometimes, a lot of the time now, with men, there isn't time to regulate. Or they
Hmm.
don't even know, actually. They if they don't know, and even there is, of course, there is men now seeking, but there's also a lot of people who don't know. Like if they don't, if they're forever, if they're working, they don't have, and they have a family, they're not going to be scrolling, or even if they're scrolling, they're not really comprehending it because they're just numbing because they're tired in between just working like everything else. So yeah, I mean it's said, but underneath it all, it's like having that connection, and a lot of men now they don't have time to connect. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I was actually talking about this yesterday. Like, if you look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which are just like the five steps of the needs of our psychological and physiological needs as a human being, like love and belonging is, I think,
mm,
the third one. It's like physiological safety and stuff at home, and then it's like belonging, love, and connection is the third need we need as human beings,
mm.
you
Yeah,
know?
and again, this is a great one because a lot of men don't feel they belong anywhere. Um, Especially if they've grown up from a rough childhood, they're gonna have that feeling of like that disconnection. I don't belong.
Hmm.
They can still feel that even if they have the wife and family, because it's not just about having the wife and family. It's also connecting with other men on the same level, so they all can feel seen and heard. This is why men's circles are really powerful.
Yeah, no, I would love to also to yeah, talk about that because I know men, in your obviously business, the Holistic Brotherhood is like, a men's community and circle, but also I've heard of these like men's weekends
Mm.
where you guys kind of go out in the woods. I mean, I know there's more to that than just going out in the woods, but it's like an intensive. Like my friend has
Yeah,
talked about them. So yeah, I would love for you to explain that as well. I mean,
yeah.
I
I
don't know if
mean,
you've ever been to one or
I've been to a few different retreats, not anything men Pacific, but I'm just like this. What I'm working on into the retreats this year and next year, because it's about bringing people together, and especially with the men's circles. For instance, like you bring people together, and again from like going to men's circles, I'm now facilitating them. Like it's just when you join one at first, you're a little bit like, hmm. And then when people like start talking, you're realizing like, whoa, actually, I've been through similar things to what XYZ is talking about. And then all of a sudden you're feeling a little bit more connected and you feel like you can express, like, and they start talk, there is space to express and no one's judging you. No one's
yeah.
telling you like the ones I've been to, the one I facilitate, no one's telling you you have to do this and that. They just explain like I've been through this is what happened with me. And then you express so it's given in the end it's like you're able to express and you connect and realize that like I'm not alone in this struggle of maybe it's depression or maybe it's feeling lonely or maybe it's yeah, whatever you're feeling and maybe some of the trauma stuff you've come up in the past and you haven't had space to talk. So this is then you're in a circle of men. You're like, oh, whoa, this guy's been through that as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, his story very sounds very similar to mine. Like, and then you talk a bit more to each other about it. And then all of a sudden you're feeling like, ah, I feel connected because I thought I was just me going through this, or it was
Mhm.
just them going through this. And they don't know that what they went through or what we went through is just normality. We thought it's normal. But when you speak to people, you're like, actually, no, it's not normal to be to this and that. And it's the same when you go. Some people do like again, they go out in the woods in the weekends. It's just about
Hmm.
taking people away from the noise. Taking people
Yeah.
away from the noise, get them out in nature, get them speaking, get them just by the fire, just connecting with people, like without having to have the stress of everything they have to do. And it's the same with the retreats I'm working on. It's just like, again, it's like putting them together so they're going through the same things, working with breath work to relax them, allowing them
Hmm.
to express, allowing them to connect, allowing them to be seen, heard. Um, and this is why it's so powerful for men because they don't have that space in daily world.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say this because I say this to my clients too. Like we are in a system, like when you're in, because we're in the world, like, if you're connected through technology and, just a human being these days, like our nervous systems were not built to have my phone going off with text messages,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like every 2 minutes and
Mhm.
always like having constant, content to consume like that. Like our systems were not set. So like I agree with you, grounding, being away from the noise is so important when you're regulating yourself, man or woman, you know?
Yeah. And as I said, a lot of time there's just not space.
Hmm.
There's not space unless they consciously choose to do it. And that's why you hear so many, a lot of stories where people have like, and this again, partly my story is where I just packed up everything. I was just out. Um,
Hmm.
And then like you do an absolute extreme. You haven't got a clue where you're going. You like again, partly what I done it when I was younger is sold everything, closed everything, and just left into the big wide world. Hadn't a clue where I was going. These are the extremes. Sometimes that people have to get to that point because they're so messed up and they like this is on both sides, male and female, but it seems like men like they get to the point where they're just completely fried and had enough. And they get to that point where and again, sometimes it gets to the point where it's like life or death for them because
Yeah.
they're to the point where they're so like they don't see a way out.
Mm.
Um, and I think this is where it comes with the suicide as like
Mm.
because they get to the point where uh they're, I mean, they can be helped, but it's not the right help. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can be supported by the family and the family like doing this, but again, it's again from my experiences, I lost my cousin this way
Oh, I'm
a
so sorry.
year, a few years or so ago. It's like I understand. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't close to him, but like I knew I could have helped him because I understand he used to struggle with drugs. I've been there. He struggled with disconnection. I've been there.
Mm.
Like, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
he lost his battle.
Yeah.
Um,
That I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. No.
but this is so common in the world. Um,
Yeah.
It's so common with the men. It's like they get to a point, and underneath it all is they're not seen, they're not heard, and it's getting to a point where they're just. I know it sounds really bad, but they're just waiting to
No.
end, and it shouldn't be like that.
No, it absolutely should not. Yeah, it pains. So like I know, and I love. I mean, I don't want to bring up. And I'm so sorry to hear about your cousin. That is, anytime somebody does that, I mean, I see it as like some people. Everybody has a judgment towards it. Like, and I'm just gonna say it
Mm,
straight. A lot of people hold judgment, and I come from a non-judgmental perspective of, oh my gosh, that person was in so much pain
mm.
like that that's what they decided to do. Do I think that is
Mm,
the the of course I don't I as somebody taking their life, you never like want that for them,
mm,
but
mm,
a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're being selfish." It's like, no, like I guess then I this is just me talking and I'll just say it. But
mm,
people give me that reaction of like, "Oh, they're just so selfish, like they didn't think about the people that would be hurt by this." I'm like, when you're in that much emotional, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Um, sorry, the qualms of technology. Um, when you are in that much emotional pain, you're not thinking about like, oh, the repercussions because you're that depressed and like
mm,
your mind doesn't go to like like, oh yeah, like I mean, who, like you are because you are in that much pain. So I
Yeah,
carry a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy because no, I feel that should be not an answer for anybody, but sometimes that is, that's just the case. I mean, people are in too
yeah.
much pain.
No, of course, and I agree. I mean, to people to say to turn around like, oh, they're selfish. I'm like, have you been there? Have you been to the point where you feel like you're worthless, where you feel like you're worth nothing and that your life doesn't matter? I've been
Mm,
there. I've been on that edge. Like, I understand. So when I hear people are at that point, I feel like I feel sad. It makes me want to cry because I've been to these places and when people are like, oh, the front of my mind is like a suicide, but I'm too chicken to do it. I'm like, I can feel that pain. I can understand they're depressed. I understand they feel despair. They don't know what to do, and tablets aren't going to help them because it can make it worse. And they're like, and they feel like they're at the end of the string, and it's so sad that men have to get to that point. And
yeah.
usually, like. And again, I had a client recently say that when they first started working with me, that was at the front of the thing. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, um, I'm like, okay. And just working with him and seeing him and listening to him and working regulation and calming him and allowing him to be seen, heard, and not be a robot myself and actually be like, no, actually, no, I hear you. Um,
Hmm.
and then it's like, no, it's not in my head anymore. I'm like, it's that connection. I'm like, I'm sitting there, even if I'm online, I'm sitting there and someone's telling me their story, and I'm not judging them. I'm not calling them any names. I'm not doing anything. Like
Yeah.
what men think is going to happen. I'm not shouting them. I'm not saying you're like this, you're not that. I'm like, I hear you. Like, let's try and figure it out and let's see what's underneath it and let's calm your nervous system and let's put some plans in place. Let's try and build some routines. Let's give some space for yourself. And it's okay. And this is another thing, men. What I've learned over. Men don't feel it's okay to have their own space.
Mm.
Um, they don't feel like, oh, if I ask for space for a couple of hours to do this, that is going to be a problem. I'm like, no, if you need the space, go take the space because otherwise you're going to go crazy in here. And we don't want this because this is where it goes, that spiral of rubbish comes from. We start here and then we stay here and then we completely lose ourselves. And again, it's something
Mm.
I've had to go through myself and I've lost myself a few times over the years. So,
I have too.
yeah,
I'm like, I have self-abandoned as well.
yeah. And, you know, but again, I think, again, it's when people say self-abandon, and it took me a while to understand. It's like people say you self-abandon. I'm like, but what is self-abandon? Like, for simple terms, and I'm like, you basically just not looking after yourself in certain ways.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that again, this is also what's maybe coming up. People don't, if you're new to this and you're kind of maybe looking into it, you don't really understand these concepts. Um, So, and again, this is another thing where I think if when I speak to men, if I start speaking to men, like especially if they're not, um, they haven't come from a lot of how to like talk about emotions. You start saying you're self-abandoning, you're doing this, you're doing that. They're like,
Yeah,
what?
what does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, no, because it is, I will say, like, on my journey as a woman and as a person, these terms I'm learning, like, even like just like emotional wellness, emotional intelligence, we're talking about nervous system regulation, dysregulation, act like this is not like I feel like we're very fluent in it, but I have to
mm,
understand that a lot of people, not just men, we're not we're not emotionally literate
yeah,
as a
agreed.
society. Like we're not, these aren't things that we're like, when I say things, I mean, talking to you, you have to find
Mm,
people that, and you don't have to be a mental health professional or whatever. But it's the lack of just knowledge, that like knowing like
yeah,
what is like, and that, like, I actually post a lot of like definitions of emotions on my Instagram and on social media, because even emotions, we don't know like what they are. Like, we know what they feel like, but we don't know like
mm,
what they are. So I think there's a huge gap in society today, and I'm glad you brought that up, of like just like like what is this? Like what is self? What is self-abandoning? What is self-care? What is,
Yeah.
all this stuff? Like it's a very we're very complex. We're very simple beings, but we're also very complex in our this part of our world.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I mean, it's like, exactly. I mean, sometimes even if someone is trying to comprehend it, they don't comprehend it. So you turn around and say, do you feel stressed? They're like, yes. Do you feel calm?
Yeah,
Yes. I'm like, okay, regulation, dysregulation.
exactly. Well, and that exactly, and I even think with like my clients, like you have to read the room, and but like I do try to educate as well. It's like, all right, like
Mm,
I use the terms like I've even learned with my own body and my own experience with mental health is like there's a difference for me to be activated versus triggered.
mm.
And a lot, I
Yeah.
don't really like the word triggered. It's very harsh. It's very like when people, and I get it. We need to give definition to these terms, but that's why
Mm,
sometimes I use the term activated because I'm like, I'm just feeling like I'll tell my therapist, I'm like, I'm just feeling a little activated right now. Like it's not a trick, like it's not a full, but like I do recognize that like something is being stirred up inside me in my
mm,
nervous
mm.
system, you know?
Yeah. It's the same way I say with my therapist. I'm like, we're going a little bit things. I'm like, I have to take a few seconds now because I'm starting to realize whatever's happening in me. I use the word trigger for myself because
Yeah.
some
Yeah, it's
issues.
whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. And but this is another thing which you said earlier. It's like also people don't know what's going on in their body. They know they're
Oh yeah,
stressed.
yeah, yeah, yes,
They know they're stressed.
yeah,
They know they're angry.
yeah,
You know they
yeah.
may
But
be
they don't
upset.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't.
They know
Yeah.
they're happy. Or maybe they're excited. They know the simples, but there's like the bits in between, and they're like, "Oh, okay, like okay, I'm getting my heart's like racing. Okay, why is your heart racing? Is it like some form of anxiety coming?" And they're like, because I mean, people aren't don't know what these little bits are. And I've noticed this as well. It's like, okay, I'm like, are you short of breath? Are you tense in your jaw? Have you got sweaty
Hmm.
palms? Are you feeling warm or are you feeling cold? Or what's happening? And
Yeah.
they're like, they don't fully know that like maybe these symptoms are part of this. And underneath it, of course, is some form of dysregulation or stress, you could say in simple terms. But it's like, what's going on with the body? And they're like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just angry. I'm like, okay, but there's probably something
Yeah.
else going
There's
on.
let's unpeel it a little, peel back the layers a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one of my shaman friends. She's like, she just a lot. Actually, two of my shaman friends are saying this when I train with them. They're like, mate, you're peeling back the onion. You're peeling the
Hmm.
onion. You're peeling one layer, and you're going deeper, and it's getting a little harder, and it's getting a little stronger, and it's getting, uh, and you're the layers are forever going.
Well,
It's never ending.
100%. And I will actually give you another metaphor that you can use. You can steal it. A professor that because I love that. Like I always say, like we're onions, like we're layered. You know, what I mean, we're
Mm,
multifaceted. We're also, if you think about it, my one professor said we're also like garlic. So we're our garlic, you peel back layers, but they're also
mm,
different parts, the different compartments.
mm,
We're also
mm.
different parts. So I was like, I love that. That makes it even more complex. But
Yeah.
I was like, we're like garlic too. We're peeling back layers of the, out of the garlic, get into the garlic, and then we're also different parts.
Yeah, of course. And some bits of the garlic are huge, and some are like little tiny
Yep. And
bits
so
in between.
exactly. Well,
Yeah,
Keith, this has been honestly such a wonderful conversation. We touched so many areas that I'm passionate about. I know you're passionate about. And everybody can check out Keith at his what your website is holisticbrotherhood.com, and you're
yep,
also on and I saw Instagram,
yep,
TikTok,
yep.
and you can reach
Mainly
out to Keith.
Instagram at the moment is the best place to find me. Holistic
Great.
Brothers, spelled with a W. I'm on Facebook as well, but like they're the best two places to find me.
Awesome. Well, and the work you're doing, thank you for the work you're doing for the men in the world because I'm glad you're allowing men to and giving them the space to heal.
Thank you. I appreciate your
Of
support.
course. Of course. Well, thank you everybody, and as usual you can find the this episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast up on YouTube at Feeling and Healing, as well as Apple and Podcasts and Spotify.